I'm going to start with just sharing what materials you'll need. So you need a surface to transfer onto. It can be wood. This is just a wood sheet. It could be a wood panel or a piece of wood that you find outside. It could be canvas. So this is a primed canvas, just like raw, like that you can get on the roll. You can also get a canvas that is already stretched. And then you could also use heavy duty watercolor paper. This is a hot press, so it's nice and smooth. And I've never tried this, but I'm gonna try with you guys to transfer onto a leather piece of scrap. So we'll see how that goes. So your surfaces. The main reason why I gathered these ones that are smaller is because so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then you also need a white gesso. So this one's from above ground, or a white primer. So with surfaces like this, you don't need to prime because it's pre-primed, but if you have raw canvas, then you can prime. You don't have to. You can transfer right onto this raw canvas. You can also prime the wood and transfer that way, or you can use just the raw wood if you like the wood grain. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm kind of nervous because this is pretty thin, but I'm going to try it anyway. And I'll probably prime like half of it just so you can see the difference. And then with the watercolor paper, you don't have to do anything to prep. It's already good to go. And then I don't know if I have to prep anything for this. I imagine like some sort of sealer would be helpful, but I'm just going to do the raw leather. And then you also need a clear gloss medium. You can use matte as well. Yeah. Okay, I should have done this before. Oh, there we go. So it just looks like that, but it dries clear. The matte dries very matte and you don't see as much detail. With the gloss, it actually brings out the color and brings out some detail. You also need a synthetic brush to apply the gel. You can also use your hands. I prefer to use my hands because you can really feel where the gel is and isn't. And you need some scissors or an X-Acto to cut out your images. My images are already cut out. You need some other paintbrushes to paint the background. And then you need your laser printed images. This is my favorite musician, Youngblood. This is his mouth, so I'm going to transfer that. And these are laser printed, so if you use inkjet, it won't transfer as good, so, or as well, I should say. And the reason why is because laser printed images, the ink, it's bonded in a different way than inkjet. I feel like inkjet just sits on the surface of the paper, whereas this is more like burnt, like lasered into the paper. So the way that it kind of, the ink transfers is way nicer and more solid. You get a more solid transfer that way. You also need a little container with water. I just have my little one here. That's to dip my hand in and remove the paper pulp. You also need acrylic paint in various colors. I'm going to use only a few colors, but I'm going to also show you how you can transfer with acrylic paint, which is really cool because you don't necessarily need the gel. But if you wanted a clear image, then do the gel. But if you don't mind having like a color in the background, then you can also transfer with acrylic paint. These two things are essentially the same thing, it's just this one doesn't have any pigment. You also need like an old kind of like gift card or bus pass or credit card or something like this that you can smooth out the gel with. So I just have this old SBC card that I use. And then paint markers. So I have a bunch here that I'm going to do details with. It's optional, it's not completely necessary. And then painter's tape, but this is just to block off the edges when you're doing the process. So those are all the materials that you need. Again, if you don't have any of these things, just work with what you got. Really, you just need a surface, your gel or acrylic paint, and water, because you can apply things with your hands. So all of these other tools are just helpful that I've learned over time from doing this that really helped me. So we're going to get into the next video, which I'm going to actually talk about the prepping process. So how we kind of get into that. Yeah, see you in part 2.